Good morning, it's Nancy today. Well, I must say I've had a lovely time this morning. It was looked out the window when I woke up and there was kind of a fog, but it was snow on every branch. It was just a dusting on top of our 8.5 inches. It was so pretty. Isn't my chin purple? Wow. Maybe it's just the lighting. Anyway, I went around and took pictures out every window, and then I went for a walk. I thought I would walk the trails. I thought I would just go and get some exercise and use my underwater camera, which has a really good camera. It's not awesome for making videos, but it's very awesome for boy, my chin certainly looks purple. Must be just the lighting. Can you hear it snowing? We're supposed to have snow, or it's very mild today. It's just at freezing. So some places are getting freezing rain and we're getting snow. Thank goodness. But it'll be wet snow. It's coming down very thin, which means it will accumulate. Which is nice. I like it when it accumulates. Anyway, so I came down here and I took pictures on the way down. And I stopped at the beginning of the lane to the pond and I kicked the big clods. Our neighbor plowed for us, plowed the berm or the snow dike at the end of the lane. But it was all, you know how it was shaped like that at the edge. So I kicked it and kicked it and kicked it until it all fell over the edge. And I did that all the way down along by the apple tree to get rid of all the... I didn't want it to be high because if we get a wind, it will drift. And it will drift from that direction and it will drift at the, the height. Right now the snow is about that high. But the dike that he made is like this on the edge. And so when the wind comes, it will go from the top of the dike, or the top of the snowbank, and it'll drift across like that. So I kicked it down so it would be, like it's just a valley over there. So I just kicked the clods all down there. So hopefully if the wind blows, it'll just go straight. It won't create great big snow drifts and make it harder to get in here. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Cliche. As a writer, we were taught never to use cliches. Anyway, so I got down here to the pond and I walked around. I went toward the went to the pond edge and I looked over, but for some reason I went back to the apple tree. And then I came straight down the lane from there instead of going into Teepee by the pond. I came right past. I took photos everywhere. And I walked past this teepee. This is deer blind teepee. The whole purpose of this teepee was to have a place to lie in my hammock out of the weather. And that's what I have. And I wanted to be able to open it to have sun sometimes, to sit in the sunshine. In the summer, the late summer, when the sun is higher, but not everywhere anymore. There is no sun today. The sun is on vacation. Sunny skies, sleeps in the morning. He doesn't know when to rise. So then I came down and I decided I would go first to Iceberg Pond. And so I did, and I stopped and I photographed every pretty sight all along the way. So you can imagine I have lots of pictures. All beautiful. And I got a close-up of the bird's nest with a pile of snow on it. I like that little bird's nest. It's just about this big, and it's about that big around at the top, I guess. Not that, but the other part of my fingers, circle part. I really hear it coming down. Hey, this is nice to be in here. And I took off my coat and my hat and my scarf, but I still have on my snow-covered boots, which are kind of wet now, and my snow-covered skirts. I had a lovely walk to Iceberg Pond. Never got my feet wet. And then I followed, there were deer tracks there. So I followed the deer tracks around the edge of the pond, past the red chairs that are now upside down by my hammock. I crossed the waterfall. I went behind the birch beeches, the big clump of beech trees, and up the slope onto the top of the hill, the low hill. And I photographed the stream and the chairs and the views all around and of the pond and of the hills and the snow. And then I had a drink of the spring. It's cold water. Kind of like the water in the house is cold. And then I walked down the little spring a few steps, and then I crossed the spring, and there was briars. And those briar plants are always there. I have to do something about that. I've been there for 15 years. So I walked through the briars using my ski poles, they're not ski poles, they're my Nordic walking sticks that I use them like ski poles. They're so awesome. There's a few times I would have fallen if I hadn't had them. And I walked through them, and then along the little ridge down to my little bridge that I made in the water, which is made of dead sticks, dead branches, logs, I guess. But they're not that big around, 3 inches maybe. Is that 3 inches? I don't know. Anyway, so they broke when I stepped on them, of course, and the water was high along the edge of them. I have to go to the cedar pole making place, cedar post place, and do some work there and get some posts. Bring them back. And fill up that hole, one log at a time. And then I walked just around my hammock that the tree fell on. Took a photo of the tree on the hammock. Been there for a couple years. Oh, maybe 10. 12. And I walked along the side of the hammock and where it attached to the cloth walk. That cloth walk is amazing. Where there is no cloth walk, as I walk, my feet get tangled in the tall grass that's now all shoved down under the snow. And it's very difficult to walk where there's no cloth walk. But where there's a cloth walk, you just breeze along. Go quick clipping at a quick clip, motoring right along. Motoring, that's a real Canadian phrase. Did you motor all the way up here from Georgia? Do you mean drive? Anyway, then I followed the cloth walk. I followed the cloth walk down to the beaver lodge. Tried to decide which tree it was at the base of. It's really decomposed after these years. It's hard to tell where it is. And I was tempted to just head off through the marsh woods to the. I have some hammocks I put up a few years ago. Have lots of hammocks in the marsh woods. They're beautiful spots. There's the three cedars. No, the 3 cedars that aren't. Is it cedars? The 3. Yeah, I think it's the 3 cedars. Anyway, we went there and thought, well, I could go there, but I'm not going to because it's, the tangle of the grass on my feet under the snow. See, this grass is about 6 feet tall when it's in head. Maybe even higher. So it's a lot of grass stalks that are in there. Canary grass. It's like that. Look it up. So I carried on around and took photos from in the middle of the field. Sometimes when I'm in there, I feel like there's nothing here. You know, Canary Meadow, I feel like it's just this open, flat expanse. But there are lots of things. There are little clumps of willows that I planted and little clumps of alders. I should try planting trees. That would be a good idea. Why not? Good idea. You really hear that ticky sound from that snow. It's crystal, it's icy snow, I guess. And the top of this is falling inside, making a pile in the middle. I couldn't have any campfire. I could indeed. So then, let's see, then I got to the Serendipity Pond. I took pictures of the teepee as I got there from the other angle. That's Horseshoe Island teepee. It's a very small teepee. Very, very small. It's got room for one hammock and a person to sit on the floor. Or you put 2 or 3 people on the floor. If you push them back into the corners, you could have a tiny little fire. I have had campfires in there, laying on the hammock. But you have to crawl to get out of there. So it's kind of a death trap. So I haven't done that lately. But I walked past that, past the Adirondack chairs, the wooden Adirondack chairs that are sitting facing the pond. The one I sit in to watch birds and the one for the pond. They're very low down to the ground now, so I don't really want to sit in them anymore. I should measure and go back with lumber the right length to raise them up high off the ground. I could do that, since I built them anyway. And then I went around the pond, and I saw deer tracks, because the deer do live in the alder woods, and streamside alders is what I used to call them, I think. And so I followed some deer tracks around the edge of Horseshoe Island Meadow is what I had called that. The deer tracks are always up there. It used to be milkweed. And I had to go around to get through some of the tangle, and I went to the edge of the corner of the pond and the stream. See, the stream goes along, and the pond is a rectangle that's attached to the side of the pond. A rectangle, the short end is attached to the pond. We used to swim in there. And then I went, that was where the summer lodge was. There was a time when the beavers had a lodge there that had no top on it. It was just sticks, and they would go in there, but it didn't have a top. No mud on it or anything. It's very interesting. And then I followed the deer tracks around there and back across Horseshoe Island Meadow and back out through into the Canary Meadow and headed off until it attached to my cloth walk. Follow the cloth walk to the end, to the crossroads of possibilities. So you have to decide which cloth walk you're taking which part of the Triaqua Trail. And then I came up along the edge of the lane just right here to this teepee, and here I am, ta-dum, ta-dum, relaxing. All right, see you.